All right, I kind of want to go over a series that has to do with trauma responses because there's a lot of different responses to trauma. There's a lot of different topics when it comes to how one responds to traumatic events or traumatic situations in their life. So, the first one that I want to talk about has to go along with kind of the defense mechanisms that I've talked about before in the past. One of the strongest, most prevalent defense mechanisms being repression. And another way of looking at repression is the idea of just trying not to think about the event. So that's what I see a lot when it comes to a response to trauma is somebody who gets to a point where they don't want to think about the event. They don't want to talk about the event. They want to just pretend like the event never happened. And I completely understand that. I mean, who wants to sit and ruminate on that traumatic situation or event over and over again? I don't blame anybody for not wanting to do that. It just gets to a point, though, where when you try not to think about it so much, it's just repressed, it's bottled up, it's covered up, and then it shows itself in other ways. I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't realize about repression or about just trying not to think about traumatic events is those emotions end up going somewhere else. They come in the form of anxiety through other things. You may get triggered subconsciously, which is all emotions are subconsciously driven. So you get to a point where all of a sudden you're going throughout your day, something happens, and then, boom, you're angry, which is another trauma response is anger. But anyway, I'll go over that one a little bit more in detail. But when you get to a point where you're trying not to think about the traumatic event too, there's so many other negative side effects of trying not to think about it that it starts to outweigh. Pretend like I got another like hand here for like a scale. I know I talk a lot with my hands, but it outweighs excuse me, outweighs the positive emotions or the lack of negative emotions by just repressing it. So it shows itself in other ways, and then it becomes to the point where people just go, I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't understand why I got mad over that little situation. I don't get why all of a sudden I just got slammed with depression. And they really don't understand it, and they really feel like it comes out of nowhere, when in reality, a lot of times it does go back to the traumatic event. So here's the fix. It's pretty simple. Allow yourself to think about it at times if you need to, a little bit at a time. Systematic desensitization. Big words meaning that you just allow yourself to desensitize yourself to that trauma or that memory a little bit here and there. Now, some people might go, yeah, but I get to a point where I just can't stop. And that's gonna be a lot of practice, being able to think about it just a little bit here and there, talk about it a little bit here and there, and to the point where you don't overdo it, but you're also not repressing it. I honestly think it's probably better to just overdo it than not do it at all, but obviously, like somewhere in the middle where you can just kind of talk about it, think about it a little bit, and you can use this as part of your meditation practice. I don't want the meditation, though, to become tainted with negative thoughts, though. So maybe you want to use it as a different way of meditating, especially when you're trying to use self-affirmations as part of the meditation. But then again, you get a sense of control when you do think about these things and do talk about them, as I talked about in one of my other videos. So again, that's why I feel like the benefits outweigh the negatives when it comes to just allowing yourself to think about these things and to talk about them. Obviously, journaling, writing things down can help too. So there's a lot of different ways to get it out. It's just the main thing you want to do is do your best to not try to avoid it so much that it has power over you, it has power over your life, and then that can become really, really depressing and cause a lot more negative outcomes. So anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate it. Thank you.